Today, we give thanks for all the fathers, the grandfathers, and the father figures who helped shape us. The men whose strength and courage have been pillars for us to lean on. The men whose faithfulness has laid down an example for us to live by. The men who showed us how to love Jesus with an unquenchable passion. The men who gave of themselves time and time again. For all the times you were patient, even though we didn't deserve it. For the grace you've shown in moments of struggle. For the days you gave of your time when there wasn't much left to give. For loving us, guiding us, leading us, and showing us Jesus. For all these things, we say thank you. We love you, Dad.
Yo, yeah, hey, what's up, dads? We finally got a day. It's us, it's the boys today. That's what I'm talking about. Man, so glad to be able to be with you guys today, for all of our online family joining in. What's up? Happy Father's Day. We love you. I missed you guys last week. I was hanging out at our Walkertown campus, but it's good to be back. Good to be back here with you guys. I ran across something disturbing, a little frustrating this week in the sermon research. I ran across a ranking of the most celebrated holidays in the United States. Mother's Day is the second most celebrated holiday in the United States, second only to Christmas. So in our country, Jesus first, your mama second, and everything else is coming after that. Father's Day is the 20th on the list. Halloween is number 6. We got ghosts and candy is better than Dad, which is really frustrating me. Do you want to know what number 13 is? Arbor Day. You know what that is? No, nobody does. I had to look it up. On Arbor Day, you plant a tree. That makes me want to ask for a chainsaw for Father's Day and cut a tree down on Father's Day, just to let Arbor Day know what's up, we coming. Columbus Day is the 16th most celebrated holiday. Here's the crazy thing about Columbus Day. A lot of people don't even celebrate Columbus Day. Like, they don't even acknowledge it because, like, technically Columbus didn't discover America. The Native Americans were already here, right? And so they're like, well, what is that day all about? And so there's enough people that hate Columbus Day that they have created a spinoff on a holiday called Indigenous People Day. A spinoff of the holiday that everybody hates is higher than Father's Day. Crazy, ridiculous world that we live in. Frustrated about it. I'll get over it, but we're going to enjoy our day today here on Father's Day. Even though it gets a lot of hate, it's ranked number 20 on the list. I just got to think, man, that God loved Father's Day. Because Father is the title that God actually took on for himself when he was describing the relationship that he has between he and us. God the Father. And for him to take on that title, you know it's loaded with significance. And actually, there's a statement in the Bible that God speaks directly to his Son. God the Father speaks directly and audibly to his Son, Jesus. It kind of gives us a sneak peek into what I call like a proud dad moment for God. Dads, you ever had those proud moments with your kids? Maybe they've accomplished an achievement academically or athletically, and you're super proud of them. Maybe they reached a milestone in their life. You know, they got married or engaged or bought their first house or got their first job. Or maybe it was the day that your kids became mothers and fathers on their own. Like, there's just these proud dad moments. Dad had a proud dad moment with Jesus. When Jesus turned 30 years old, he began his earthly ministry. And he gets baptized. John the Baptist baptizes Jesus. And the Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 3 that God speaks to Jesus in front of everyone. An audible voice that everyone could hear speaks to Jesus as he comes up out of the water in an audible voice. In Matthew 3:17, it says this, and a voice from heaven said, "This is my son, with whom I love. With him I am well pleased. This moment is more than just a sentimental moment where God's like taking a picture of his son as he gets baptized and wants to put it on his refrigerator up in heaven and be proud of him. No, like this statement is loaded with significance, every phrase and every word. In fact, it's so loaded that God says this same statement twice, 2 different times in Jesus' ministry. Matthew chapter 3, fast forward to the later in the book of Matthew, Matthew chapter 17, we read, he says this, God says this, while he was still speaking, while Jesus was still speaking, a bright cloud covered them. And a voice from the cloud said this is my son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. And God adds this on the end of it. Listen to him. Listen to what he has to say. I love this because the pep talk that God gives his son Jesus, I love the aspect of it in the way that he builds him up. Number one, it was public. Everyone heard the voice 2 times. It wasn't God whispering in Jesus' ear where only he could hear it. God acknowledges him publicly. See, Dad's value is communicated in public. And so it was clear that God valued his son, Jesus, with the words that he spoke. Consistency is another thing. God said the same thing, not once, but twice. He wanted to reiterate it. Man, just when you think you've said it enough, say it again, man. Speak that life over your kids and over your family. God said that and began to unpack. Let me tell you what God said. Like, I love this. He says, this is my son. He was giving Jesus his identity. Man, as fathers, that's one of the things that we do. Man, when my girls were little, man, you talk about a world that is confused about identity in so many different areas. When my girls were little, as soon as they could like learn how to communicate and talk with me, I would tell them, I would help them understand who they are. I looked at Leah, my oldest daughter, and I said, God made you to be a little girl. And can I tell you a secret? I always wanted a little girl. Oh man, I wanted a little girl so bad. And God made you a beautiful little girl, and now I get to be your dad. And then when we got pregnant again, I told Elizabeth and everybody, I'm like, it better be a girl. Oh, I want another girl. I want another little girl. I want Leah to have a playmate, and I want to have another little girl. And I was so glad when Lydia was born. I told her, God made you special to be a little girl, and you're my little girl, and you're his little girl too, but I'm borrowing you right now, and I always wanted to have a little girl. And then I told Leah and Lydia, I said, I wanted our 3rd kid to have a little girl, and Elizabeth said, I think we're good. I think we're good with 2. We'll probably stop there. And, but I wanted another little girl, and I would have another one. And it was great. Like, I spoke that identity over them, right? That's what dads do. We make sure our kids know who they are, what their identity is. In a world that is screaming at them, no, this is who you are, and this is what really matters. No, man, God the Father looked at his son and said, this is who you are. I'm going to give you your identity. You are my son. Kids don't discover or find their identity. Their identity is told to them by their creator and by their father. And as dads, we got to jump in just like God did and share with them their identity. He says, not only do I give you your identity, but number 2, whom I love. Man, you're very loved. God wanted to make sure that his son knew, I love you. God said it out loud, and he said it often. Dads, we got to do it. We can't just tell our kids we love them occasionally. We can't just say, well, my kids know. I don't have to tell them that I love them. They know that I love them. No, they need to know. They need to hear it from you. God spoke those words over them. Well, I don't have to say it all the time. No, yeah, you need to say it all the time. Like, you need to say it. Like, with my girls, there's specific times I want to tell you. In the morning when they get up, before they go to bed at night, when they get out of the car, I love you. Every time I hang up the cell phone with one of my girls, I'll tell them, I love you. If they don't say I love you or acknowledge it in some way, I'll call them back. I'll be like, hey, what's the deal? They're like, what? I said I love you. And I didn't hear anything. I mean, you need to give me some verbal acknowledgement. Like, you need to know that your dad loves you, or I will call you back and tell you I love you. God made sure Jesus knew, hey, man, I love you. I love you so much. I love you so much. Get creative with it. It doesn't have to be weird. It doesn't have to be a poem or a love letter. Like, just tell him, I love you. I heart you. Text him. Call him. I love you like a fat kid loves cake. Like, whatever it is, whatever analogy you want to use, tell your kids you love them. God told his son he loved him. This next phrase, with him, I am well pleased. God wanted to make it very clear, hey, Jesus, you're special. Now, you need to understand about Matthew 3 and the timing of this. This was when Jesus first began his ministry. Jesus had not preached a single sermon. Jesus had not done a single miracle. Jesus had not made a name for himself in the synagogue circles yet. There's no 5,000 feeding yet. There's no walking on water yet. Jesus had to understand this. God looked at his son and says, I'm pleased with you even before you do anything. Your identity, my love for you is not based on your performance. Jesus, everybody else is going to love you in these upcoming years because of all the things that you're going to do, all the awards you're going to win, all the miracles you're going to do, and all the sermons you're going to preach. Hey, before you've done anything, I love you, and I'm pleased with you. May you are special to me. Last thing he says is in Matthew 17, he says, he looks at everybody else saying this audibly, hey guys, I want you to listen to him. Listen to him. He helps Jesus understand you have a voice. Jesus, you have something to say. Your words matter. You're going to say things that are going to impact lives for thousands of years. Like Jesus, what you say matters. You have a voice. The Father was acknowledging that what Jesus says and does was going to make a contribution to others. Like, hey, dads, we got to communicate to our kids. I care about what you say. I care about what you think. I care about your opinion. And you have a voice. Your voice matters. And dad is listening. Now, there are some times in my kids' lives where they don't have a voice. Dad walks in, I say, hey, this is what we're doing, and this is what we're not doing. No questions asked. But there are times where I want to make sure my kids know that dad's listening and dad cares and they have an opinion. And now for my kids, because they're so young, this comes in creative ways. But even when they're young, I want them to know, like, hey, dad wants to give you some decision. He wants to give you some power and authority. The other night, Elizabeth was out of town, and so I was with the girls. She had a meeting or something. I was with the girls, so dinner was on me. And I got to be shooting you straight. I really wanted Bojangles. Really had my heart set on Bojangles. I would prefer Bojangles over Chick-fil-A. I don't know if a pastor's supposed to say that, but it's like Bojangles, Popeyes, then Chick-fil-A in my book. I really wanted Bojangles. And so I turned to the girls. I said, hey, girls, we need to get some dinner. What do y'all think about Bojangles? And Leah said, yeah, I think chicken fingers or chicken nuggets would be good. Let's go to Chick-fil-A. And I said, yeah, but Bojangles has Bo-Berry biscuits. And they're baptized under the icing, and you can get them all day long. And don't you want that? Wouldn't that be the best? And Lydia chimed in and said, yeah, I want Chick-fil-A. I said, are y'all sure y'all don't want Bojangles? I really love Bojangles, Bo-Berry biscuits. But I just decided I would take them to go get Bojangles. They got Bojangles. I got them Bojangles. I took them home. They ate. I went to Bojangles and got mine. I got them Chick-fil-A. That's how we roll. But I wanted, even in a little decision, I just wanted to say, hey, Dad, listen, Dad wants Bojangles, but Dad values what I want. And Dad's going to allow me to do some things. Like, Dad values my voice. He's going to ask me, and he's going to let me choose, even if it's simple like that. Man, I want my girls to know their voice matters, and Dad's always listening to him. God gives so many examples in that loaded verse for us, but I want to give you a few as we kind of close out the service today and let you go home for Father's Day and celebrate with your crew. I want to look at the Bible and give you a few things that I believe that dads are supposed to embrace, parents are supposed to embrace with kids, characteristics that I want to share with you that not only applies to you here if you're a dad, but man, if you're mentoring younger people, you're coaching younger people, maybe you're a teacher, or I mean, even in the corporate world, if you got younger people that are working under you, then there's some opportunities that Scripture lays out for us that we can take advantage of. Here's the first one. If you're taking notes, you can jot this down. Everything's in the app. As dads, I want to challenge the dads in this parent role today to number one, we got to learn how to set the example. The Bible says that the example is to be set for the next generation. Paul talks about this in 2 Timothy. He says, I remember your genuine faith. He's talking to Timothy. I remember your genuine faith, for you shared the faith that first filled your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice. And I know that same faith continues strong in you today. Even though Timothy didn't have a father figure that was pointing him towards God, the Bible makes it very clear that like parents and grandparents are the ones that can instill their faith in the next generation. He looks at Timothy and said, Timothy, the only reason you're on Team Jesus is because your mom and your grandma were on that team. They passed that faith down to you. It's significant. They set the example for you. Your parents and grandparents gave you a spiritual inheritance. Now, here's something we got to understand about life. God's plan, dads, God's plan for your life won't just be accomplished in your life. God has plans in your life that won't happen for generations to come. The ramifications and the blessings and the open doors and the opportunities will impact generations to come. God is a God of generations. Remember, God is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God is the God of Timothy and of Lois and of Eunice as well. We work in that mindset. God's plan for your life won't just be accomplished in your lifetime. He could be doing things in your life that'll be accomplished through your lifeline. So have the mindset that what you're doing now is impacting generations to come. What you're doing now, your sons and your daughters and your grandsons and granddaughters will be impacted by your leadership. The decisions that you make, set the examples. The positive things that you're choosing to do right now will result in positive things and consequences and blessings for your family. Likewise, negative. Making the bed now for the next generation. That's what Paul said. Your grandmother did it. Man, Timothy, you're so successful. Look at your lineage. Look what happened. Now, because Timothy didn't have a solid father figure, Paul, later on in life, essentially became his spiritual dad. In 2 Timothy 3, he says this, "But you, Timothy, you certainly know what I teach and how I live and what my purpose in my life is. You know my faith, my patience, my love, and my endurance. You know how much persecution and suffering I have endured. You know all about how I was persecuted in Antioch, in Iconium, and Lystra, but the Lord rescued me from all of it." Paul, an adult, is speaking to Timothy, also an adult, as a father and a spiritual father and son relationship. Here's what I want you to know, dads. Your kids might be grown. They might not be as young as my girls are. They might be further along, but this stuff is not too late. Even 40-year-olds desire affirmation from their father. Affirmation and encouragement never go out of style. You will never outgrow those things, no matter how old you get. People desire that. Your kids want to hear that, regardless of how old your kids are. Sometimes, man, we can struggle a little bit with the example or the things that we have to do, the ways that we have to model. But let me just free you up right here, because sometimes, man, we have to make hard decisions as parents, and we might cross our minds. We might think to ourselves, well, they're not going to like that, or like my kids won't be down with that. They'll kind of buck that decision, man. That's a decision that like they might not like what I say or what I do. Let me just remind you, man, like as dads, you're not here to be liked by your kids. You're here to lead your kids. When God put fathers in the family, it wasn't so that kids would have another friend. It was so that kids would have a strong leader in their home. And it's okay, man. Sometimes you got to, listen, I got kids. Sometimes you got to tell your kids something they don't like, and you just got to watch them freak out over it. You just got to watch them pitch a fit. They'll come around. It's fine. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not the right thing to do. Doesn't mean that that's not the thing that I need to do to lead my family well. I'm doing things now that you don't like that are setting you up for success in future generations. Set the responsibility. Be the example in their life. Number 2, we got to lead them spiritually. Dads in the room, man, we're called, Bible's very clear, we're called to lead our families spiritually. Let me tell you a story about a dad that approached Jesus in the book of Mark, and really led spiritually. Jesus was teaching in the synagogue, and in Mark 5, it says this: a leader of the synagogue came to Jesus. His name was Jairus. He saw Jesus and bowed down before him. He begged Jesus again, saying, "My little daughter is dying." This is a dad pleading on behalf of his family. "Please come and lay your hands on her. Then she will be healed and will live." So Jesus went with Jairus. A few verses later, it says, Jesus left only Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. Let them go with him. They went to the synagogue leader's house. I love this about this story. Jairus brought Jesus home with him. Jairus brought Jesus home with. Dads, you got to learn how to bring Jesus home to your family. You got to be able to open up the word. You got to be, well, how do you do that? Because you can't just like open up the door and be like, "Hey, it's Jesus. Walking, everybody hold his hand." No, you don't do that, man. Like, how do you do it? You pray with your kids. You pray with your kids. You pray for your kids. You pray over your kids. Man, when you're riding in the car or when you're at home, put some worship music on. You're not even saying anything, but they've got biblical truth being washed over them. They're listening to that, subconsciously understanding who God is. Anytime you learn something in the Bible, share it with them. Just say, "Hey, man, this is what God's been doing in my life. This is what I'm learning. This is how I'm growing." Like, look for those opportunities. And I'm going to challenge you guys. I love you. I know some of you guys are married to godly women. But in Mark chapter 5, Jairus did not send his wife to bring Jesus home. Jairus said, I'm going to get Jesus, and I'm going to bring him home so that my family's life can be changed. Got to learn how to lead spiritually. Here's what Paul says in Philippians 4. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. Paul says, you've learned, Timothy, church, you've learned things, received things, heard things, and seen things. Eyes, ears, and heart. Paul says all of those things. I'm confident that you can pick up what you need to know about Jesus and the gospel and the Bible by things you've heard and seen that are modeled and that you've received. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, man, I'm not really a leader. I'm not a natural born leader. I've never really been a leader. Maybe you don't even feel like you're the leader in your home. You got to understand something, dads. You are leading somewhere. Your kids are watching you. They are taking examples from you. They're taking words from you. They're taking actions from you. You are leading them somewhere. Don't say you're not a leader. You are absolutely a leader, and you are leading them towards someone or something. Let's make it count, and let's lead them towards God. Let's let their life be about Jesus, have them rooted in the scriptures as well. You are going to pass something on to the next generation. Make it count. Let it be significant. Let it outlast you. Third thing that we got to do, learn how to do as dads, especially as dads. I feel like moms are good at this, but dads, man, we got to be good at this. We don't get a pass on this, but dads are called to learn how to show and tell. That's what I like to call it. We got to learn how to show our kids that we love them and tell our kids that we love them. Now, you might not be like that. You might just be like, man, I didn't grow up in like the huggy, touchy-feely family. I didn't grow up in the family where we expressed ourselves or anything like that. Like, how do you do that? What does love look like? If you're a dad and you want to love your children and make sure you show and tell that you love them all the time, like practically speaking, what does that look like? I think there's some important things, especially in a busy world that we live in the digital age. Here's one thing that I think of is the way that you show your kids that you love them is you give them visual attention. Visual attention. You know who your kids are. You know your family. Here's what God says about you. This is what Matthew 10 says, and the very hairs on your head are all numbered. So don't be afraid. You are more valuable to God than a whole flock of sparrows. Pass that, throw that on your kids today. Just say, man, girl, you are more valuable to me than a flock of sparrows. And then just walk out the room. Just leave them confused. Did you see these details? Like, God loves you so much. Not only does God love you, God knows you so much. He knows every detail about your life. So much so, did you know that God knows every hair that you have on your head? Now, some of those of y'all in here would take longer to count, but you might think, man, I don't know if it's ever crossed your mind, I wonder how many hairs are on my head. I would file that under details that don't matter. God knows. Because there are no details about you that don't matter to Him. He knows you. Man, I want to get to the point as a dad where I can walk into the room and I can look at the expression on my daughter's faces and know whether they're happy or sad, whether something's wrong, whether they're frustrated, whether they're hurting, whether they need something. Sometimes when I call my girls on the phone, I'll pick it up and I can tell by the sound of their voice how their day's gone. I don't want to have them to wait on me to say, well, Dad, I need to talk to you about something. Hey, Dad, something's the matter. Hey, Dad, I've got something on my mind. Man, I want to know them so well and be so locked in with my daughters that when I walk into the room, when I hear their voice, or when I walk in, they don't say something, I automatically know something's going on. And I know how to get that out of them. Man, God is so locked in on you. He is so dialed in on every part of you. It's like this attention that God gives us. Mark chapter 10, Jesus models this as well. He says this, he's teaching in a big group setting like this, and all of a sudden a bunch of kids start running up to him, and disciples are starting to stiff arm him and like, get out of here. Nah, kids, they don't have any money. Kids don't have any power. Kids are not going to help us advance this mission or kingdom. And here's what Jesus said. He said to them, let the children come to me. Don't stop them. Then he took the children in his arms and placed his hands on their heads, and he blessed them. I love that. Jesus brought the kids in close. Jesus was like the fun uncle right here. He's like, come on, man. I want to hear, how's your day going? How you feeling? What's going on? What's going on with you? Tell me a little bit about you. And he got on their level and began to like hang out with them. Like Jesus wanted to know them, listened to them, spent time with them. For parents, man, we got to realize kids spell love. They don't spell it L-O-V-E. They spell it T-I-M-E. The way that you show your kids love is you spend time with them. You're in their life. You know them. We celebrate kids with attention. We celebrate with words, and we celebrate with touch. For us, visual attention, especially in the age we live in, hey, parents, like sometimes you got to like put the phone down and like lock in with your kids. There's times where my daughters walk in the room and I got my iPad up, or I'm working, or I'm talking on the phone, or I'm texting, or I'm watching TV, and when they walk in, I got to learn how to put that down. I'm like, hey, give it to me. You remember when your kids were real little and they would get frustrated if they were talking to you or they wanted to show you something and you weren't looking? You know what they would do? They'd grab you by the cheeks and pull you over. They'd be over here talking, and I'd be, yeah, I hear you. Yep, Leah. And Leah would walk over and be like, I want to see you. Look at me in the eyes. It's visual attention. That's how kids feel love. Second one is verbal appreciation. We got to be verbal with our kids, man. Tell them we love them. Tell them who they are. Appreciate them in that way. Listen to how God does it in Isaiah 43. He's speaking over his people. And this is what God says. You are precious to me, and I have given you a special place of honor. I love you. That's why I'm willing to trade others, to give up whole nations to save your life. King Solomon doubles down on it in Proverbs. He said, the tongue can bring life or death. Man, verbal appreciation from dads to kids is gold. Now, we got to be comfortable doing it. We got to do that more often. We got to speak that life. Be clear with them. Be consistent with them. Over-communicate with them. Like, say it all the time. You know, I want to be that dad. I feel like one of my titles as dad in my house with my daughters, I am the top rizzer in my house. I'm going to rizz those girls up every time I see them. Girl, what'd you do with your hair? I like the way you style it. Where'd you get that outfit from? Oh, that's right. I bought it for you. Dad's good like that. Man, you smell good. You wearing deodorant today? Thank you. Man, I love everything about you. I love it. They come down the stairs, they better get ready. Dad's coming in hot. Man, you're so smart. Look, if you get a good grade at my house, it's going on the refrigerator. We bragging about that. That's a big deal. I'll look at my daughters and say, man, you're the fastest kid in the middle school. Did you know that? You fast, girl. You good. You smart. I like you. Like, you're kind of, I've noticed something about you. There's kids at school that when everybody else pushes them out and they don't have anybody to sit with, you're the type of girl that'll go there and sit with them. And you're kind and you're compassionate and you're always thinking about other people and you're selfless. And I love that about you. I love you, girl. I like everything about you. I like the way you put together. I like everything about you, your hair and every style that you wear it. They need to know that. Man, I want to be over the top and I get it. Sometimes they're like, okay, Dad. I'm like, shut up, girl. Like, I'm going still. I still got more to say. Just for you saying that, I'm going to say something about your pants. I like those pants. I like that color. I like how your nails match your toes. I like everything about you. All right, moving on. I get fired up about those girls, man. You got to show love with the verbal appreciation. The next one is, this is important, man, physical affection. Dads are championed with modeling appropriate and healthy physical affection. God even talks about this in Hosea as he talks about his relationship, how he interacts with his children. He says, to them, I was like one who lifts a little child to my cheek, and I bent down to feed them. Man, just that intimacy, that physical affection and connection, the picture of like a mother or a father picking up a baby and just like, you ever nuzzled a baby? Like you just want to kiss their little soft cheeks and squeeze them in a safe way. I love that. I love the way babies smell too. They smell good. They smell fresh and new. Here's what I know about physical affection that's so important for us, fellas. I gotta challenge you on this. If you will teach your kids what healthy physical affection looks like when they are young, then when they get older, they will understand what unhealthy physical affection looks like. If you model what it means to talk to them and help them and treat them and what appropriate non-sexual physical touch is with them, than like some other person later on in life that says, I love you, I really do, but treats them or talks to them or disrespects them or touches them in a way that you didn't model, they will know something's up. And that ain't right. Nah, man, I've been loved by a dude before, and this isn't how they talk. This isn't how they act. This isn't how they touch. This isn't how it's supposed to be. But if you don't model that, then we'll have a generation that doesn't understand what physical boundaries are, and they'll be taken advantage of time over time again because no one ever stepped in and said, let me show you healthy physical touch. And so, man, I hug my girls. I wrestle with them. I throw them around in a loving way. Like they know it. Yeah, but there's ways that we show love, and I want them to have a dad that does that. Last thing that I want to give you is discipline. Man, you really want to know how to love your kids, and discipline. Here's what Proverbs 13 says. If you don't correct your children, you don't love them. Man, I read that, and I called my dad. I said, Dad, you really loved me growing up, man. Hey, man, this verse right, if you love them, you'll be quick to discipline them. I think that was the verse written on our paddle growing up in my house. If you love them. I don't know if this happened or not, but I just imagine my dad in the backswing. He's like, I love you, Nathan. I mean, you can hear that, right? For parents, man, we got to understand this. Boundaries are a gift. No is a gift that you need to give your kids. Now, I know some parents are like, well, I don't like to tell them no. Well, you must not like to give your kids gifts because no is a gift sometimes to your families. Boundaries are a gift to your kids. They need that. In fact, your kids won't understand the full possibilities of life until you begin to establish the boundaries at first. They won't know where they can go, how far they can go, what they can do, and they'll live a confined life until you begin to set the boundaries. Kids feel safer in boundaries. Man, think back to when your kids were toddlers. What did they do? They like to crawl in boxes or underneath clothes hampers. We want to make little forts out of blankets, and they like to crawl into small spaces. Why? Because kids feel safer with boundaries. Naturally, they're drawn towards that. When I think about it with my family, I think about the difference between playgrounds and parking lots. Man, when I take my kids to a playground, as soon as they walk into the fence of the playground, they're gone. They can run anywhere. They know they can do anything within the fence. They can climb and jump and scream and play and slide down and climb up and climb on the poles in the jungle gyms. They know as soon as that gate hits. Now, what they don't understand is that gate is a boundary that is actually helping them to experience freedom. But we're in a parking lot. A parking lot has no boundaries. And you know what I do? I grab them by the hand and I keep them right here. I was like, no, you stay right here. Don't go anywhere. Don't run. You got to watch out that somebody might be backing out. Somebody might not see. Somebody might come around the corner. Somebody might kidnap you. They have the least amount of freedoms in the parking lot because the parking lot has the least amount of boundaries. Boundaries are helpful. No is a gift for your kids. So don't be scared of it. Like, understand that providing them those opportunities are going to open up the possibilities in their life. A life with boundaries will help them. They can go further and faster with boundaries in their life. Sometimes you got to do it, and it's called discipline. The Bible calls us to it. Now, look, man, I know masculinity has a bad rap, especially in our culture. It's played down and often like politically incorrect to say that like masculinity and manhood and fatherhood is an important thing. But man, as Christians, man, we got to be less interested in what's PC and more interested in what's BC. What's biblically correct? Forget politically. What's biblically correct? And the Bible is very clear on the importance and the significance of manhood. I've just spent 30 minutes on why the Bible is clear on it, but it's so interesting that now culture is catching up to it. Culture is like, no, for real, the Bible's right, right? Let me read you the stats. 63% of youth suicides in America are from fatherless homes. 90% of runaway children are from fatherless homes. 85% of children with behavioral disorders are from fatherless homes. 71% of high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. 75% of adolescent chemical abuse patients in drug rehab treatment centers are from fatherless homes. 85% of youth in juvenile detention centers are from fatherless homes. Dads, your role matters. It matters. We can't afford to fumble the bag. We can't afford for somebody else to do it and to push that responsibility on somebody else. Moms, I love you, but when it comes to the spiritual health and direction and vitality of our families, a father's responsibility is there. There's a disproportionate advantage to the amount of impact that a father has as opposed to a mother in the home. Turn on the TV and the world is going to portray men as immature, clueless beer guts that have no idea who their kids are and cannot seem to function without the leadership of their wives. And in the midst of that culture, I am begging you to model your life after God the Father, because it is a responsibility that we cannot afford to let fall. Let me pray for you. God, thank you for the clear example of what it means to be a father. God, I pray that we could leave challenged, that men would step up in this moment and say the responsibility and the role is too significant, too large for me to fumble, too large for me not to take seriously. And God, I pray that today, regardless of the past, today you can begin to do something in generations to come, kids and grandkids for decades to come, because of the decisions and the commitments that men in this room are going to make right now. God, give us the wisdom to know what to do with the words that we've just heard and the courage to move forward towards your son, Jesus. It's in his name I pray. Amen.